So the next thing that I want to talk about is just seasonality of real estate, because we're in Connecticut, we're in the Northeast. Right now it's, mid-November 2019. We're getting into the winter season. We're in the thick of fall, or just past fall, I think. And
That happened this morning.
exactly. So, as we change these seasons, a lot of people feel like, oh, well, maybe now's not the right time to buy a home, or, nobody buys houses in the winter. And I mean, that's when I bought my houses. I know you said there's a lot of activity going on. So can you talk about the local real estate market in the Northeast US, specifically in Connecticut, and what happens and the seasonality during this time of year?
Absolutely. I'd first say don't necessarily listen to what everybody has to say. Everybody always says that, going into the fall, winter market, don't list your house then. It's the holidays. Nobody wants to go looking at the houses during snow. Lies. I've tromped through the snow to show houses in the middle of winter. People are serious when they're listing their homes in the fall, in the winter. The spring market is insane. It's absolutely insane. And that's where you get into crazy negotiations as far as a realtor is concerned. I've had people unfortunately lose homes in spring and not buy until the fall, just based on the fact that they don't want to get into negotiations. A house is $230,000. It's $230,000, but because of that spring market, you're paying maybe $250,000. So
absolutely.
So don't discount the fall and winter.
And what about sellers? So one of the reasons why we said, it's so great is because sellers are more flexible.
Absolutely.
At that time. So why do you find sellers are so motivated when it comes to fall and winter? And the further we get into the winter, it seems like the more motivated they get. So can you speak to that a little bit?
Sure, absolutely. A lot of times, not always, but most of the times once you're getting into the winter, that's kind of the second half of your listing. So maybe you made a reduction in the summer. Maybe you're not getting as many appointments now. The listing, unfortunately, will start falling lower and lower as far as the searches come up. New listings are going to come up. It's going to start just dropping lower and lower. So once you get 3 to 6 months into that listing, which is generally fall winter because you signed the contract in the spring, sellers are now almost at their wits' end. They just want to sell. They don't care per se how it gets done. They're willing to cover things like closing costs. So it's really a good time to just put in not any offer, but you never necessarily know what they'll accept.
Right. So speaking to that pricing flexibility, like I've been seeing with a lot of my buyers lately, that these sellers are very motivated to give money towards closing costs. And I know a lot of first-time buyers watching this, you're probably concerned about how much money you're going to need for closing. You're going to have a heck of a lot easier time getting the money towards closing costs in the fall and winter versus the spring and summer, like she said, where it's crazy and there's multiple offers and plenty of people are out there with full boat, plenty of money to put down. So if they have your offer and they have somebody else's and you're asking for closing costs and the other isn't, or the other's asking for less, that's the one they're going to go with. Whereas this time of year, when the seasons change and they're more motivated, they're going to be much more apt to give you that money towards closing. I've been seeing that a lot lately with almost every transaction in the last month or two. There's been some sort of concession from the seller, whether it be repairing something, adding something, the flexibility with the price coming down and or money towards closing costs. In several cases, I've seen the seller paying all of the closing costs. And in some instances, I've even seen not only will they cover all your basic closing costs, but I've even seen sellers pay to have the interest rate discounted on the purchase of the home, which as a buyer, that can even mean a lower mortgage payment for you. So that's a huge thing, and you can see why this time of year, fall and winter in the Northeast U.S. is a great time to buy. So the last thing I want to talk about is just the future of real estate here, specifically the next year. There's a lot of economic factors that we don't really know about.
Yep.
And we looked at some statistics before we started this video here to just look at like the last year, what's happened and where we're at. So we want to talk about the forecast, specifically in the main areas in Connecticut, Litchfield County, Hartford County, and New Haven County, which are the main areas that we work in. And let's kind of talk about the forecast where we're at now and over the next year. So inventory. So we were talking about that there's more inventory now. So can you speak to just the amount of properties that are available now versus a year or two ago for buyers?
So properties have definitely gone up. As far as, like you were saying, Litchfield and New Haven counties, the inventory is absolutely up. If you are looking for a house, jump into those markets right now. Hartford has kind of been steady, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. Hartford is a great place to buy, but the inventory is definitely there right now, especially going, like we were saying, going into the winter. This is going to help out because you can now have options. So right now that's kind of where we're
And
at.
as far as the prices go, Connecticut has been on a downward trend. Let's not, nobody's here to sugarcoat it. I've been doing this over 17 years now, so I've seen the markets up and down, and Connecticut's been on a downtrend for many, many years. But as a buyer, that's actually a good thing for you because you can get prices now on properties that haven't been this low in 15 to 20 years.
No.
Now's your time to make a good deal when you buy, and you'll be able to recoup a lot and create a lot of equity very, very quickly. So we've even seen, as we were looking at these statistics, that really in the last year, in a lot of areas, home prices have actually not only stabilized, but we've seen them go up $10,000 or $20,000 on the average and median prices. So with that being said, like timing wise, do you see prices better now than a year from now?
Yes. Yeah.
So you heard it right there. I mean, you're going to save money buying now versus waiting a year.
Absolutely.
And I think something that's on everyone's mind based on the media is, the recession. Everyone's talking about recession, and a lot of people are staying on the sidelines saying, I don't want to buy a house in a recession. But, when you actually look at the last group of recessions that happened, other than the recession of 2008, real estate has performed very, very well. And the reason that real estate's done so well during recessions is because interest rates historically go down during recessions. And what happens is when interest rates go down, it stimulates the economy, it stimulates people buying homes. So if we do indeed go into a recession in the next 12 to 18 to 24 months, what that's going to mean is there will be a lot more buyers entering the market at that time. And that is going to keep prices stable or put them on an increase. So if you're the one that's buying here in the near term, you're the one that's going to actually, get those benefits and build that equity based on the prices going up. So I'm here to tell you that the time to buy, you heard it right from an expert local realtor, this is the time, and we've actually started seeing the stabilization and increase. That's what we've been looking for years.
For years.
And it has taken longer than expected. Nobody's going to doubt that. No. But now as a buyer, this is your prime time. 10 years from now, you're going to look back and probably say, I wish I would have bought in 2019 or in early to mid 2020.
Absolutely.
So that's really where we're at. So, I hope that those of you watching this have gotten value from it. And if you're in need of a local realtor, a local expert specifically who is, has that expertise in Litchfield County, New Haven County, and Hartford County, Sabra, if you can just give them all your contact info and how they can reach out to you.
Sure. So just to alleviate any confusion either, I just got married, so my last name is now Lorusso, so you may still see some of my marketing as Sarandria, but still the same person, still the great service that you'll get. My cell phone, which is generally the best way to get me, is 203-228-7733, and my email is Sabra, that's S-A-B as in Bravo, R-A.Westview@gmail.com. So those are pretty much the two best ways to get in touch with me, and it was great to meet you.
You too. And if you need a local mortgage advisor, as always, we're here to help. Benchmark Mortgage. My direct line, 860-413-3938. You can follow me on all social media at Weinberg Mortgage or Weinberg Lending. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you soon.